Ahi ahi Māori tātou. Welcome everyone. No mai haere mai. Very warm welcome to our pre-Christmas last for the year regional council meeting. Welcome councillors, welcome to staff, welcome to visitors, and welcome to anyone watching online now or later. We started with Karakia this morning. Would we like to open the meeting? Again, I'm looking around the room. Would we like to have another Karakia, Councillor Hawke? We did start this morning.
Wait.
We would. Thank you.
Tēnā koe te hiamana. Thank you for the opportunity to lead us in Karakia in our last meeting of the year. I guess I'm going to lead out, but I'm going to rely on my fellow colleagues to chime in with some volume, please. Whakataka te hau ki te uru. Whakataka te hau ki te tonga. Kia mā kina ki uta. Kia mā taratara ki tai. E hia ki ana te atakura. E tio, he huka, he hauhu, si hei.
Kia ora, thank you, Councillor Hokianga. Housekeeping, we are live streaming the meeting. It'll be on the Facebook page and it can be watched at later dates. In an earthquake, please drop cover and hold. The shaking's long or strong, please leave the building through the exit doors here and head up the hill. And if an emergency evacuation alarms, please evacuate through the exits and meet on the grass on the Dalton Street side. Toilets for any of our visitors are down the hallway to the right. Apologies, please. We have an apology from Tanya Hopmans. Do we have any others? Happy to move they're accepted. Yep, do we move this? Second, thank you, Councillor Roadley. Any conflicts of interest declarations, please, for any of the items?
Yes, that's just me. In the water security paper, I would like to declare a conflict of interest due to owning multiple water consents.
Thank you, noted. Confirmation of the previous minutes from the 26th of November meeting, which you've all seen online on Docs on Tap. Do we have any questions or amendments to the minutes? Someone happy to move? Thank you, Councillor Roadley.
Seconder.
Thank you, Councillor Van Beek. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Any against? Carried. Thank you.
Sorry, Councillor Van Beek, who's aye in here.
Yes, you were here. Moving on to decision items. 4.1 is affixing the common seal. It's very straightforward, but there may be some questions, particularly for new councillors, if there's a need to understand more about that, or is it all quite clear? Clear? Mm-hmm. Someone happy to move that?
I would like to move.
Thank you, Councillor Van Beek. Thank you, Councillor Waito. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Any against? Thank you. Carried. Item 4.2 is the Heretaunga Water Storage delivery, and I'd like to welcome Amanda. No, I'm welcoming Richard.
And Chris.
And Chris. Oh, there is Amanda. Oh, yes, I could see you behind. Yeah. Welcome.
Too short.
Thank you. Chief Executive, would you like to make any opening comments?
Through you, Chair. As you know, the previous council was pursuing an alternative delivery vehicle for a water storage option at Whanawhana. Since the end of the last triennium and the beginning of this triennium, the team have been working with those parties, and this item serves to update council on progress and asks you for decisions related to that. But overall, really good progress on the project, and I'll ask the team to update you.
Thank you. Kia ora, Richard.
Kia ora, tēnā koutou katoa. Just further to the Chief Executive's introduction, the purpose of this paper is very much as a staff report update in terms of the Heretaunga Water Storage Delivery staff report. and just reconfirming previous delegations to the Chief Executive to execute the grant funding agreement, which has already been given, but it's just updating on that, and including the asset transfer agreement associated to give effect to the full grant funding agreement. The other element is around approving the moving of Year 3 LTP funding allocation of 1.039 million to the annual plan 25-26. So that's just moving it from July into June, which brings it back from one year into the next. So I'll hand over to Amanda to take us through the highlights. Thank you.
Look, I'm happy to give you highlights or take questions, but essentially, yes, it serves as a formal update to this council, which was required post the decisions on the 30th of July, contending that there was a local election. We have progressed with the ADV, as we called it, alternate delivery vehicle. We now have an incorporated company. That company has the confirmed shareholders who are now ready to take over the governance and delivery of this project on formal project transfer. And this is essentially to reconfirm those delegations in order for HBRC and Heretaunga Water Storage Limited to enter into those agreements to formally transfer the project. And there is a technical approval, as Richard has spoken to, around bringing forward approximately 1 million from Year 3 into this financial year.
Thank you. Questions, please.
Thank you, Chair. So my questions regarding 1.4, and just seek confirmation of the total feasibility cap. Therefore, that relating to timing, interest, and the balance sheet exposure, so that the councillors and also the public are more aware. Can I seek confirmation that Hawke's Bay Regional Council total feasibility funding for the Heretaunga Water Storage remains capped at the 3.647 and a million, and with no additional funding implied and approved beyond that point?
Correct.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Rodley?
Yeah. Hi, Amanda. In the paper, you've got around point paragraph 20 that around the once the whole financial piece is handed over to the new ATV, the piece which is not the Crown funding piece, but the piece that is Regional Council piece, how you said that we will see some appropriate influence will be through the grant funding agreement, and then further down you note that in 27.3 that the financial updates and monitoring reports will come through. That's how we'll maintain that transparency. How do you perceive that will come back to this table when this table is no longer part of the work stream?
It might be easier if I answer that, because this all sit as part of the Water Security Action Plan. So the Water Security Action Plan that Council approved in July, August, the Heretaunga Water Storage will be one of the projects that will sit there, and as we report back through on the Water Security Action Plan, this will fit as part of that reporting process.
You may.
So that will be just an information item coming through there, where there'll be no ability to have any influence as such. It's more just oversight, is that correct?
Correct, relative to the terms of the funding agreement.
Councillor McElroy?
I've got a couple of questions. Okay. So through the chair, can the staff clarify on what basis this decision is assessed as not significant, given the scale of public funding? governance transfer and long-term water allocation implications.
In terms of the,
I'm happy to take that question through you, Chair. So the funding allocated by the council was already signalled and approved in the long-term plan. So this paper just simply seeks to bring that forward. So the council has already made a decision to initiate the project and fund feasibility. So we're not triggering significance in terms of the need to go and consult, for example, on the process.
But public funding transfer, governance transfer and long-term water allocation implications. Why is that not significant?
Chief Executive,
You've only answered one part.
It's already been
can I
agreed.
ask, the significance of the project has been considered and approved through previous ones. I think what Councillor McElroy is asking is the questions she's asking have been addressed through previous decisions.
Indeed.
And that what is not significant is simply the piece that we are approving today. So can you speak to how we worked through the significance of the project as a whole in the earlier conversations so that Councillor McElroy understands those issues were addressed?
Yep.
Thank you.
So the process of the council looking to be involved in the feasibility study and funding the feasibility study and setting up an alternative delivery vehicle has already been through a number of council decisions and council papers. And funding for that was done via the long-term plan. So though the council has already consulted on the long-term plan in terms of funding, there's nothing in this paper that is significant in terms of our significance and engagement policy. In terms of allocating water, which I think was the second part of the question, at this stage, this is just a feasibility study. There is no allocation of water, nor does the project owner consent at this point. It will have to go through all of those processes post-feasibility if it wishes to do that or as part of feasibility.
Thank you.
It's like a supplementary.
Sure.
I probably got more questions about the water allocation, but however, can staff explain how ecological risk is considered sufficiently understood when terrestrial surveys have only been undertaken in one season, autumn?
So stepping outside of this paper clearly for this question, but feasibility, firstly, terrestrial and ecological studies have been conducted through pre-feasibility over a series of seasons. Feasibility is the investigations that is really delving into those environmental assessments and their effects and how those are managed. And they entail not only terrestrial but ecological, aquatic, ecological, cultural, and many, many other studies and investigations required under the RMA for resource consenting. It's probably worth also just noting that the process of feasibility doesn't assume the answer of we are building water storage. The process is to confirm technical, environmental, cultural and economic viability and essentially the company with the shareholders who represent Heretaunga's primary water interests, including mana whenua authorities, municipal interests, as well as our growers and industrial. They will be considering what their objectives are and whether water storage is going to be part of that future. So feasibility is a process that we run.
Thank you, Amanda. And as Amanda says, it's a bit outside the scope exactly of what we're talking about today, but some of those details, as you weren't part of these early decisions, certainly could be shared with you offline as well to understand more of how some of those pieces will be picked up. Councillor Ormsby and then Councillor Curtin.
Sure.
Thank you, Chair, and through you, kia ora, Amanda. Nice to see you back. My question relates to 5.2. 5.3. The funding is only to be released once the Chief Executive is satisfied that Project Co has the requisite capability and can effectively deliver the feasibility stage. Through you, Chair, can the CE just elaborate on that paragraph and what that means?
Can I ask the team to talk to that?
Thank you.
Through you, Chair, this relates to the provision of the project plan and the budgets. And the budget that supports the project plan will be submitted as part of the funding application signing process. And so one will talk to the other. So it'll be via the project plan and the budget aligned to that funding agreement.
Okay, just supplementary. Thank you. This may be for the Chief Executive. At what points will you be measuring or monitoring the effective mana whenua engagement throughout the feasibility process, and how will that be managed?
The primary mechanism for that will be through the ADV itself. So mana whenua have a shareholding in the alternative delivery vehicle via mana ahuriri tamatea pōkai whenua. As part of the consent process, there would need to be, the ADV would need to then engage more locally with Hapu. Separately to all of that going on, which is the ADV's business, I and the team here meet regularly with those PSGs, and we have a variety of things on the agenda, but any disquiet with how this project is running would be something that we would raise in those agenda meetings.
Yeah. Are you satisfied with the answer? Do you want more details on that, or is that?
I would like to know how the progress of the MOU is going with the Hapu groups.
Kia ora, happy to report back on that.
Thank you. Councillor Curtin?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just continuing on from Councillor Ormsby's line of questioning, I just want to, we put some guardrails around the delegation in July. I just want to test those to see whether still in play. So the approval was given to proceed with the balance of the feasibility funding of 2.724 mil, subject to 5.2, the Council's appropriate accountability and oversight mechanism, and the satisfaction of the Chief Executive. So the Chief Executive has released it. Can you answer that, Mr. Chief Executive?
No.
So is this the point where you're asking us to, when you anticipate approving the release of those funds?
I'm going to check with the project team.
We're targeting the 19th, so Friday. We currently have an agreed position on the HBRC grant funding agreement, and the terms of that are not substantively different to what was agreed and put in front of you on the 30th of July. And there's, in addition to project plan and budget, there is other conditions precedent which relate to the viability of that company and being incorporated, stood up, etc.
So a few questions to be answered as to capability, etc. there that the Chief Executive needs to be satisfied about, and the accountability and oversight mechanisms being appropriately in place. Is that correct? Now, if I could follow on, Madam Chair, the paper today asks us to advance the financial year 26-27 and to accelerate that. And I'm assuming that the Chief Executive's approval process covers both those years. It's not segmented into each of the financial years, is that correct? And finally, Madam Chair, recommendation 7 agrees that 900,000 drawn down is transferred, so I'm assuming that's already spent in 24-25?
So that relates to the 900,000 that has been drawn in the past.
Yes.
So that
And-
sits as a liability for HBRC.
Sure.
Yeah.
So that sits on HBRC's balance sheet as a liability, but I'm looking at 5.1, where we're saying that the funds, 3.647 million, advanced to Heretaunga Water Storage, is to be provided as a grant. And now you're asking to walk back that statement and treat it as a liability for them?
No, sorry, there's two different parts here. In terms of the HBRC grant funding, that's related to the 3-year LTP allocation, which totals 3.647. And 30th of July, this council released 2.724, which was the remaining as at the start of this financial year. That is what, minus expenditure over the last 6 months, is being looked to be incorporated as the grant across. The 900,000 relates to Kanoa funding.
Okay, so I think that's my point. Will all of the Kanoa funding be treated as a liability, ultimately, against water storage?
Not for HBRC. The liability that is held by HBRC is what HBRC has drawn down in the period to date, which is 900,000. So that is to be transferred
So
to the company.
liability has been transferred.
Liability plus the benefit will be transferred in the negotiation of revised funding agreements, which is a live conversation.
Which is what point 7 addresses.
I appreciate that, but will it incorporate all of the Kanoa funding, ultimately? Will all of the Kanoa funding appear on water storage's balance sheet as a liability loan, because it's a loan?
This contemplates, and the variation contemplates, the novation of the funding agreements to the company. So it takes all of the Kanoa funding that has been drawn down, plus those funding agreements, which wraps up whatever else is in there, and it gets transferred on execution with Kanoa to the company.
So it's just a little bit more. Ultimately, what will be the liability sitting with this water storage entity at the end of 3 years?
It depends on what we draw down.
Give us a clue.
No, I mean 900,000 has been drawn down and is going across. Negotiations are live right now with Kanoa in relation to revised funding agreements.
Know what that final amount will be. Thank you, Councillor Curtin. Councillor Whitehall.
Thank you, through you, Chair. So just on Councillor Curtin's kōrero there, so what is the financial exposure to the Hawke's Bay Regional Council retained, including interest and timing risk? Because obviously there's a timing risk before the exposure exists during the transition period, but also liability transfers to the Heretaunga water supply only once legal transfer are completed.
We're anticipating that those agreements will be executed by the end of February, but as I said, they are live conversations under negotiation. So I'd probably, and in terms of the liability for HBRC, you're transferring it to the company.
Thank you. Oh, a follow-up?
Just a different question. Thank you, through you, Chair. Just on recommendation 4, just can I have a confirmation whether any additional interest or financing costs arise from bringing the 3-year funding forward? And what does that cost in dollar terms? And where does that sit with council accounts?
In bringing the funding forward, yes, we will pass this money over by taking out an additional loan into there. That will incur additional interest expense. However, we will be repaying that loan through our long-term investment fund over a number of years, because we actually can earn more interest from the long-term investment fund than we will be paying out in the external loan. It doesn't have any rating impact into there, and all of the costs will be managed within the long-term investment fund drawdown that we had approved as part of the LTP.
Okay, so we're looking at, for that FY 25-26, 23,500, and then for the additional interest cost identified 231,000?
Yeah, correct. Yep, that's the numbers in the paper.
Just so councillors and public are aware.
Aware? Thank you. Any other questions?
Got a
Specific
simple one.
questions? Yes.
The ADV, are all seats taken at the ADV, and the chair or running of the ADV, how's that composition made?
Sure. So in terms of at writing of this paper, Napier City Council, we're still deliberating on their participation. They have since confirmed we need to go through some actions around actually formally bringing them into the shareholding, but they've confirmed their participation. So that means that as originally intended, we have all 3 shareholders and participation concluded there. And in terms of the chair of the shareholder committee, that is a live discussion with those representatives, and as to whether and what that will look like in the timing. I can't give you any update at this point.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. No further questions?
I have one.
Yes.
Through you,
Councillor
Chair.
Hawke.
I'm just, actually, no, I can hold that one.
Okay, no further questions. Councillor McIntosh, be looking for a mover. Yes. You're looking to move recommendations 1 to 7? Yes. Is there a seconder? Thank you. Councillor Parsons. Councillor McIntosh, would like to speak to that?
Yes, I just want to take us back to the 2023 Regional Water Assessment. That said to us that we are likely to be short of 25 million cubes of water in 2040 if we don't do something. 25 million cubes is about a quarter of what we currently use at the moment. It's a very big deal. We've got no choice but to plan for that. We'll be doing the region a real disservice if we don't. My view is this is quite an important cog in that wheel. They're difficult and complicated things to do, which has resulted in some of the questions we've had to do, but nevertheless, we've got to do our absolute best to get this sort of thing happening. And that is why so much work, effort and time is going into the feasibility that we're doing at the moment. And so I feel very comfortable with where things are at, in particular that the people who are the main beneficiaries of the water are those who are going to be running the cutter from now on in. So those are the ones who really are going to most have the problem in 2040 are the ones who are running it, and taking with that a lot of the work obviously, but risk as well. From our council's perspective, I think we've really done our stuff. We've recognised the problem and we're doing something about it. This is just one of the levers that we're pulling. There are a lot of others, but this is an important one. So it's really my summation of saying, sort of strongly endorsing the project if we can get it over the line, and therefore endorsing these recommendations.
Thank you. Councillor Parsons, would you like to make a comment?
Oh, just that, I mean, I'm the new kid on the block and, did a lot of research into this as in part of campaigning and see the importance of it. And moving forward, I want to be seen as really supporting it.
Okay, kia ora, thank you. Any other comments? Councillor Rodley?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I'm very pleased to be in supporting this. These recommendations. Thank you to the work that Amanda, you and your team are doing, and also Chris for your tight oversight of the impacts and risks to HBRC. I think it's a critical piece of our whole water spectrum, our suite of things that we're looking to bring to our community, and I'm incredibly comfortable with the moving of the understanding this piece, the water storage piece, really understanding its viability, but for that to be done by the people who are going to be using the water. Potentially, they could be paying for the water. I do not support that general ratepayers would be investing funds into that piece. The piece where it fits as part of our much bigger water security, I think we will be carrying on that work. I know Richard's nodding in agreement because it's so important to all the work that we do and how we understand it and make really good decisions around this table. So thank you for the work that you're doing and for bringing the paper, Richard, for moving this on. I support the motion.
Kia ora, thanks, Councillor Radley. Councillor Waitoa, did I see your hand? No? Oh, Councillor Curtin.
You go.
Councillor Curtin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I just want to pick up on the earlier comments, colleagues, particularly Councillor McIntosh, because this is a milestone. It's up to the point now where we're handing over essentially to the appropriate body for it. But to have got there, we've had some very, very significant players involved. Firstly, Amanda and the team, very well done for navigating through all sorts of moving parts, particularly Kanoa and other players. So well done. And the other players that need to be acknowledged are, in fact, Councillor McIntosh, Councillor Van Beek and our colleague Councillor Harding for their work and doing what our job really is about and advocating right people, right time on this occasion, people that really knew their stuff were navigating this through up till today, and I think they've done a superb job of doing that. I think it's a feather in the cap for regional councillor work, and we ought to congratulate ourselves for getting that far. And it stands alongside, Madam Chair, the excellent work that the council did in our recovery. We've had an extraordinary effort in terms of our infrastructure recovery, and once again, a feather in the cap of regional council in navigating that space. Right people, right time, doing the right piece of work. So well done to staff and colleagues for a pretty good outcome to date.
Kia ora, thank you, Councillor Curtin. Councillor Waitoa.
Thank you, through you, Chair. Once again, also just to tautoko everyone's sentiments on the work done, and just clarity for councillors and public. At different points of this process, council has acted as the funder. We've been the enabler and the regulator, and I with confidence feel that that will be kept separate in practice to ensure that water allocation, te manawa te wai, and public accountability remains with the council. So, kia ora.
Kia ora. Comments? Councillor McElroy.
Through the Chair, I'd like to advise that I will be dissenting from this resolution, ask for my dissent to be formally recorded.
Certainly. So we have a mover and a seconder. I'm sorry, Councillor Hawke.
Just quickly, through you, Chair, a simple understanding for me, and I think just in words where we were referring to tamatea pōkai whenua and mana ahuriri, mana whenua authorities with primacy. My internal thesaurus evades me at this time. What does that mean?
Actually, we won't go back to staff, but we can bring that back to the Chief Executive. Do you like to speak to mana whenua authority as per our statutory responsibility?
So I think there are several layers to that, and the discussions that were previously held were with at a hapu level with Te Piringa Hapu, and the constituent hapu there who were very focused on what the potential te taiao implications and cultural implications might be, and any consenting process should the feasibility progress will need to have direct connection and engagement at that level. And then at the PSGE level, we have a statutory role under those settlements of engaging with them, and then they've chosen to be part of the ADV. Does that help with the query?
It does. I guess that's more so for Māori communities that might be tuning in.
Councillor Ormsby?
Thank you. I'd like to support the travel of direction here in the paper, but I'd also like to acknowledge our treaty settlement partners in this process, which haven't been, I guess, acknowledged alongside other shareholders, because it will take the whole shareholding group to push this forward in a progressive way. But they'll also need to take their mana whenua groups, their hapu groups with them, which is why a brief from where the MOU has got to and the progress made and the work that they'll do on the ground as they should. I'd also like us to consider a briefing on the revised funding agreement when that comes through at the appropriate time in the appropriate way, because that will be the finer detail into which really we're handing this over. But with that, thank you, Chair.
Yeah, kia ora. Thank you. We have resolutions 1 to 7. We have a mover and a seconder. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any against? Councillor McElroy, and you'd like to be recorded, please. Thank you. Passed.
Can I speak to my recorded presenter?
Yes, we do.
Thank you. In accordance with standing orders, I can send this to you, to Leanne as well, save you typing it.
Sorry, Michelle, can you come back closer to your microphone?
In accordance with standing orders, I request that my dissent from the resolution under item 4.2 recommendations 1 to 7 be formally recorded. I dissent because I do not agree that the decisions before council meet the threshold of being not significant, given the scale of public funding involved, the reconfirmation of delegation to execute binding funding and asset transfer agreements, the bringing forward of long-term plan funding and the transfer of strategic control to a company that is not subject to logoima or direct public accountability. I am concerned that Council's statutory responsibilities as both regulator and steward of freshwater resources have not been sufficiently resolved at this stage. In particular, I remain unconvinced that obligations under sections 31C and 31 of the Resource Management Act to maintain and enhance water quality and to manage land use effects on water have been adequately addressed in catchments that are already over-allocated and where increased irrigation demand is a recognised driver of nutrient loading. I also remain concerned that key ecological information is incomplete. Terrestrial ecological surveys have been undertaken in only one season, autumn, with further surveys deferred to later stages. Yet Council has been asked to reconfirm funding, governance transfer and financial commitments ahead of the full environmental evidence base required to inform future consenting risks. Finally, I consider that the financial and reputational exposure associated with the Kānoa loan drawdown and its transfer from Hawke's Bay Regional Council to Heretaunga Water Storage Limited has not been sufficiently tested in public, given the conditional and suspensory nature of that funding and the timing of the proposed agreements. For these reasons, I do not support the resolution.
Kia ora. Thank you, Councillor McElroy. Item 4.3, we are moving on to Clifton's Tangoio Coastal Hazards Strategy update, and we have Simon to join us. Kia ora, Simon.
Kia ora, Chair. Just an apology for Mr Dolly, who is unwell, so I'm going to hand this straight through to Mr Bendel to take you through.
Kia ora, councillors. Thank you. This paper requests the formation of an informal governance group for the strategy. That's because after the elections, the formal entity, the Clifton to Tangoio Coastal Hazards Strategy Joint Committee, has not been re-established, largely because their work has finished. They've delivered their advice to this council,
But we are in this awkward phase where this council has not yet made a decision formally about how to proceed with that work, but we have no governance structure in place in advance of that. We're currently in the closing stages of community engagement as directed by this council, looking into particularly the costs of implementing works under the strategy. For new councillors, I've given a bit of a background on this work to help you, but I do plan to come back likely in March with a more fulsome summary of the background of this work and where things are up to. So today is a bit more focused on that governance request. With your agreement, would like to have 2 councillors appointed and an extended invitation to members of the formal joint committee. So that'd be the Hastings and Napier councils, Maungahuru Tangitu, Tamati Pōkai Whenua and Mana Ahuriri to appoint also up to 2 members to that group.
And Tamati Pōkai Whenua.
If I didn't mention that one, yes, Tamati Pōkai Whenua, thank you. And the last thing I just want to note before I hand to questions is to acknowledge the support from the TAs particularly. So through this engagement phase of work, staff and councillors from both councils have been really front and centre supporting our work. Particular councillors Keith Price and Roger Brownlee from Napier and Hannah Montevera Henry and Alvin Corbin from Hastings have been chairing our focus groups and supporting our engagement in a really valuable way. So special thanks to them. And with that, comments, hand to questions. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Yeah, let's go through questions and then we can come back to the councillor appointments. Well, it's pretty straightforward, isn't it? No questions. So I'm pretty sure we do have nominations for them. Let me call for a reminder of who we'd like to appoint to these committees, to this committee.
I'd like to propose Louise Parsons.
Ms. Parsons, thank you. Would you accept?
Absolutely.
And any other nominations?
Is Councillor Van Beek interested to take that role?
Yep. Yes.
I'll nominate Councillor Van Beek.
Thank you. Any others? No? Thank you. That's very simple. We'd like to appoint councillors Van Beek and Parsons as the HPRC councillors. Would you like to speak?
No, actually, I've been sort of listening with one ear of what is occurring. Still involved as the previous chair of the joint committee. I'm still involved with all the emails that are coming to me, so I know roughly the line of travel that is occurring. And although West Shore and Bayview was somewhat derailed for a bit, but they're back on track again, which is really good, I see. And Haumwana and Tiawonga are really going great guns. So they really have picked up the objectives that they've been asked to achieve, and they seem to be going quite well. So under the leadership of Louise and Simon. So it's a really good job that you guys are undertaking. So, and I hope to, in the new year, spend a bit more time during those focus groups. So and listening to the deliberations without too much input.
Thank you from this table for your commitment to the strategy over the last, it's 6 years, isn't it now for you?
6 years,
Yeah, 6 years. Thank you. Councillor Parsons, would you like to make any comments?
Just that I'm quite honoured to be part of this. It's something that I think is really, really important for the future of our region. And I'll be spending a lot of time researching and asking questions and really wanting to get my teeth stuck into this to be of help and assistance as much as I can. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Do I have a mover and a seconder for the recommendations 1 to 4, including the appointments of councillors? Councillor Rodley. Councillor Kuklinski, thank you. Any other speakers? Would you like to speak to that? No. Thank you. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Any against? Thank you. That's carried. Thank you, Simon.
Thank you.
How are we going? I think we're okay for time. 1:44. Yep. Okay. So we'll continue. 4.4. Oh, that's 4.4. What's the paper number?
Gravel.
Yeah, item 4.4, gravel sale proceeds and reserve. Welcome, welcome team. So was Chris going to do this?
Yes.
Or this is John's?
Through you, Chair. Again, apologies
you.
from Mr. Dolly, but between the team here, I'm sure we can answer questions. I think the positive part of this is that having removed that gravel from the river and not had a home for it, we look as though we might be finding a way of disposing of it, but I will ask the team to take you through it.
Very straightforward paper, but yeah, please take us through the high level and then we can see what questions there are. John, are you leading off? Chris? No? Yes.
I can speak to this as an intro, and then perhaps if the team here want to add, they can do that. Kia ora tātou. As you have no doubt read, we're here to talk about the gravel stockpile at Walker Road down in central Hawke's Bay. We have approximately 300,000 cubic metres of gravel that was extracted from the Waipawa River in tranche 3 of our IRG program of work down there. It has been stockpiled on a Central Hawke's Bay District Council piece of land since that extraction. The view was always to look to sell this to market. We have had approaches since then as to expressing interest in purchasing that gravel. At that time it was recognised that we would, preferably from an officer point of view, capture any proceeds from the sale of that gravel in order to ring fence that for future extraction of gravel in the Upper Tukituki catchment. So that's really what this paper is all about, looking for a way forward there to be able to sell that gravel and dedicate any revenue from that gravel to future extraction.
Thank you.
I think the only thing I'd add into that is coming to council because it wasn't set up in our annual plan or our long-term plan as that sort of utilisation of that funding. So we need to get approval for transferring it to the reserve and the creation of a reserve that then has the future benefit just to Upper Tukituki extraction.
Exactly. Thank you. So questions on the paper, but also on the policy paper. Well, thank you, Councillor Ormsby.
Yeah, well, thank you. So this policy would apply to gravel extraction and excessive gravel pile-up to then be sold to market for that particular catchment. So this would apply across every catchment.
No, this policy would just relate to the Upper Tukituki. So,
Are there any examples where that is likely to happen across other catchments?
Through you, Madam Chair, I don't believe so. This is a pretty unique initiative in terms of this gravel stockpile. We're obviously extracting gravel at pace at that time. It was a IRG and council subsidised extraction, resulting in Hawke's Bay Regional Council owning that gravel. Every other piece of extraction is either private or the arrangement is that the contractor extracting the gravel has ownership of that and on sale as they see fit.
So this will be a very unique situation and we're creating a policy for this unique situation. Okay, thank you.
Councillor McIntosh?
So it costs 8 million to get it out all up, I think. Is that right? Have I read that right? Paragraph 7.
Through you, Madam Chair, $8 million was the total budget that was created by Hawke's Bay Regional Council's co-funding and the IRG co-funding.
Yeah.
That was based on extracting 800,000 cubic metres of gravel at $10 a cube. Costs were much lower than that, so I think extraction actually reached about 1.3 million cubes. So $8 million is for that 1.3 million cubes, not the 300,000.
Oh, okay. So, I can't do the maths in my head, but do we need to ring fence it? Because do we roughly recover what it costs us to get it out?
The cost of extraction for this stockpile was approximately $6 a cube. So $8 million. I think the purpose of the policy is to ring fence it so that it's dedicated to future extraction in the Upper Tukituki.
Well, a couple of things really. One is, do you need to do that if you're recovering a fair bit of the money when you extract it in future anyway? That's one component. But the other component is, depending on where the money's lying, is there any reason why you can't say to a contractor, a roading contractor who needs aggregate, you guys get it, you get it out?
Are we, through you, Madam Chair, are we talking about this stockpile specifically?
No. So forgetting the stockpile for future extraction of gravel. Actually, are we better to say to Fulton, Hogan, or Higgins, or whoever, you take it out?
Thank you for the clarification. I understand your question now. The reason that we had the IAG program of work in Upper Tukituki is because it was well recognised that commercial extractors would extract from areas that were really easy to reach. And those were close to main roads, close to centres, and as a result, there was a lot of aggregation of gravel in those areas that were a bit more difficult to reach, and therefore it wasn't commercially viable for them to extract gravel and then on-sell it in the market. So those areas still exist, albeit the program has created access into some of those areas to make it a bit more accessible. But I personally think that it is necessary to ring-fence this money to enable council to continue to subsidise extraction in those areas that are difficult to reach in order to make it economically viable for those contractors to do so. Otherwise, they'll just keep going to where they've always gone.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Other questions? Councillor Roadley.
Can I ask a question off paper too? Further probably to what Jock's just saying, John, because I know you'll know the answer to this. When we were driving around with the bus tours doing the reimagining group, it was noted some large piles of gravel inside the stop banks at Omahu. When are they getting removed and sold or?
Through Madam Chair, I think I know the stockpile that you're referring to.
We've just been behind the Fernhill whare's there.
We're working with the contractor with regard to that stockpile. Typically with our allocations of gravel to private contractors who are looking to extract gravel for commercial purposes, they have timeframes on that allocation whereby any stockpile that they have created needs to be removed from the berm. And that's generally at the end of the financial year.
They will have paid for that to be removed?
They have paid for, that's a private stockpile.
Got it.
We do have conditions on private stockpiles.
Yeah.
That one's a little bit different.
We don't need to go into the details of that now. Thank you, John.
Cool.
But if we wanted to have a paper or a conversation on other piles, we could do so.
Wasn't aware it was a
commercial arrangement. Sorry. Apologies. Thank you. Councillor Whitehall.
Through you, Chair. Thank you. Audit Portaion. Recommendations 3 to 6 and financial delegations 21 to 22. So what are the tender evaluation criteria and conflicts of interest controls for the sale? How will those outcomes and the net proceeds be reported back to council?
Any tender stuff will go through probably through our procurement type processes as well. So in line with our normal policies and everything, it'll get reported back to council through regular quarterly reporting where it'll be a commentary against that group of activities as to the amount that was actually sold for and you'll see it as to what has been transferred to the reserve.
See the reserve balance. Mm-hmm. No further questions? Councillor Kukunski.
I obviously strongly support what we're trying to do here. We still must remember that there's lots of areas in Central Hawke's Bay where the shingle in the river is actually higher than the surrounding farmland. So if we do have a pool of money ready to go for the hard to reach places, that's fantastic.
Just a comment, no
Just
question.
a comment.
And final question, Councillor Whitehall.
With my Te Ao Māori Portaion, 16.3. None of the options considered will affect relationship of Māori and their cultural traditions. Okay, so what assessments and engagement supports that statement?
Through you, Madam Chair, our gravel extraction team that is run out of our operations group within Asset Management Group have an annual process whereby they engage with mana whenua on the year's gravel extraction activities that are due to come up. So the extraction that took place to create this stockpile occurred several years ago, and so the engagement around that extraction at that time would have occurred several years ago. At this point, we're just selling it.
Okay.
Could I make a suggestion that we might like an action to follow up with Te Wairama Māori Partnerships team to have just a briefing at some point offline around the mana whenua engagement to our gravel extraction for interest? Would you like that, Councillor Waitoa?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
I've got one question.
Yeah, sure.
Just a quick one. It's not specifically to this, but John, to you. Great paper, in favour of it. What is we've got contractors who seem to be just doing what they're doing and want to do. If we actually allow them to abstract gravel, don't we have the powers to tell them where that gravel they need to take the gravel from? Seems strange to me that we actually haven't got that.
Through Madam Chair, when contractors they apply for an allocation to extract gravel. That application generally happens in about April, May. And we look at, we undertake surveys on a 3-year rolling basis of our rivers to determine what available gravel is there. And we allocate a percentage of that in each year, recognising that there will be further requests in subsequent years in between surveys. So they may apply for gravel from certain reaches and there may be no gravel there. So we will say, no, you can't take gravel from that reach. There is gravel available in these other reaches, and then they can pick and choose as to whether they take the gravel from the reach that we've indicated or don't take any. So we do tell them, no, you cannot take gravel from that reach because there is none available.
So you have got levers to be able to direct them and take gravel where there actually is too much travel, as Councillor Kuklinski indicated. Okay, it wasn't obvious from your previous reply, but that's great. Thank you. Good.
Councillor Hawke, and then last question will be Councillor Ormsby.
I just want to pass some commentary, Madam Chair, just around that 16.3 that Councillor Waitoa raised relating to the effect on the relationship of Māori culture and traditions of ancestral lands and the taiao, wahi, tapu, etc., etc. And the response has been pretty much bang on, but just taking a step back into some of those early engagements with mana whenua, namely kaumātua Johnny Apatu and the late Jenny Nelson Smith, alongside the younger generation of Crystal Pikipo. So there were a couple of incidences that arose from some of that engagement, but thankfully the contractors at the time held whakapapa in that space, and so was able to reach out and engage directly with mana whenua to basically mitigate any of the foreseen risks around the cultural sensitivities.
Thank you for that clarification. Councillor Ormsby.
Thank you, Chair. A question around the kanoa funding conditions for removing the gravel in the first place. Are we to assume that kanoa are not interested in how we use funds afterwards, or if there is remaining funds left? Are there any conditions around the funding agreement?
Through you, Madam Chair, I don't believe so. They've always indicated that they wanted to see any remaining funds remain in the region to be used for similar projects. For example, part of the balance of the IRG program funding has been at MB's approval used to support the NIWE program of work. I'm not familiar with any conditions that would say we can't use the revenue from the sale of this gravel, but I would imagine they'd be supportive knowing that it was going to result in more gravel being extracted. I have to go and look at the agreement specifically to be able to answer that any more specifically.
Just a follow-up, could we have had an option that looked at it being brought back, the proceeds being brought back to the NIWE fund as a pool for the region? Could that have been an option?
Through you, Madam Chair, quite possibly.
Chief Executive, do you want to comment on that?
Don't have a particular view. I think where we have, we've already negotiated a transfer of the original IRG funding into NIWE as required. I think I'd separate this out and say, actually, we've fulfilled the contract with Kanoa with IRG by removing the gravel from the river. So now the decision is ours about what we do with the removed gravel and the use of the proceeds. And as has been indicated, we are always going to have a market failure, particularly in Central Hawke's Bay and the Upper Tuki because of the distance to transport gravel for the private market. So actually reinvesting this money into being able to extract further, and I think taking that for a bit of a walk, as we need to agree in the future co-funding with any more funding from IRG or Kanoa, we've actually now got a reserve which helps us to co-fund future projects there as well. So, I think it's a good place.
Can I just add to that? So that original $8 million through Kanoa was funded 34% through the Tuki ratepayers, so it is benefiting them. Yes.
There's the half fund of the 70%. Yes, point taken. Okay, thank you. We have recommendations 1 to 6. No further questions. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Councillor Kuklinski would like to move it. Do I have a seconder? Thank you. Councillor Van Beek, would you like to speak to that, or have you made your comments?
Thank you.
Any further comments? No. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Any against? Carried. Thank you. Thank you very much. Nice to have good news. Yeah.
Bunch of stockpiles outside the river.
We can stop paying Central Hawke's Bay District Police. We can stop paying Central Hawke's Bay District Police.
It's James, yes? James and Andrew. Kia ora, welcome to the NIWE team. Good to see you.
Kia ora,
And
good
we're
afternoon.
exactly on time, you'll be pleased to see. Yeah. Chief Executive, do you want to open with any comments?
Just through you, Chair, it's been a massive year of delivery for the IPMO team, supported by the consents team here, supported by comms, and supported by the wider asset management team. So I think this paper marks a real milestone. We have our final meeting of the year with the National Infrastructure and Funding and Financing Company and with DIA on Friday. And I think we are in a strong position to indicate now the number of projects that are under construction, the number of projects that are well advanced, and I'll just ask Andrew and James to take you through that kind of end of year summary and update.
Good. Thank you, Nick. Kia ora koutou, councillors. Special welcome to the new councillors who might be hearing this as the first update that we do on a semi-regular basis. As Nick said, it has been a full-on and busy year. I think all of us across the road in the IPMO are looking forward to when we're going to be finishing for our Christmas break. And it's going to be hectic to the line because there's still quite a lot that we want to achieve in the next 5 days even. I'll get James to talk perhaps first and foremost on the finances, which I know is always a prime consideration to councillors, just to where we're trending with regard to the budgets that we're working with, which perhaps a year ago was substantially more uncertain than where we are today. So, James, I might just pass over to you just to update on that, and then I'll just give you a very quick summary as to where each of our projects are so that you can go away from the break with a full picture of just where things are for going into 2026.
Kia ora koutou, councillors. As a starting point, I'd say that we've had a relatively good run of the tenderers that we've had out to market. I think just with the amount of construction work that has been ongoing, we have had a relatively sweet spot prior to some of the big expressway pieces coming in, obviously. And so that has allowed us to avoid some of the earlier risks that had been highlighted to us from the NIF team around escalation costs. So that has provided us with a level of comfort and flexibility within the program that at this stage we are sitting well positioned as we go into our biggest phase of construction starting next year. So we have at the moment 3 projects in construction, imminently starting on 2 more in the new year. And as Nick alluded to, with our next meeting with NIF on Friday. We are hoping to have a decision on the Wairoa project in order to fully proceed with that. We are also aware that we made a commitment to this council to carry a $10 million contingency relative to construction as part of that Wairoa project, and we are able to facilitate that despite some hard engineering costs that have increased the construction. We do have the available funds to cover that, so we are still well placed in order to be able to fulfil that obligation. So as it stands, the budget continues to track very well. We've developed a very, very good relationship with NIF in terms of our monthly funding claims as well. So in terms of the cash flow impact to council, that's been greatly reduced as we are able to claim on a monthly basis now. Yes. And of course, all this bodes well in the fact that we will be sticking to our budgets in terms of the loan commitments for the council, and we do not, at this stage, foresee any risk of HBRC's commitment going over that.
So really that's referencing that we won't be holding large amounts while waiting for a payment, so our interest costs on that have fallen because we're being paid monthly. Brilliant.
Yes,
okay,
correct.
Well done.
And I think just as a final addenda, I would just note that we are the first council to secure the green and social loan through the LGFA sustainability program as a program of work. So they were very keen to have us there just to illustrate the fact that it's not sort of all green buildings and things that is typically, which has been typical for that type of grant, but the fact that we are able to deliver a program of flood resiliency works has been a really good result. We actually had them in town last week and took them out to visit a couple of the sites, and they were very, very pleased, and we plan to do some follow-up work on that as well with them. So it's been a really good result.
Good. Thanks, James. Just going through the first ones, which are the Landcat projects. Hastings District Council, as you're aware, are delivering the Havelock North Mangarao Stream project initiative. It's got a $10 million budget. It was good to see NIF asking them where that budget was sitting at our last meeting, because they usually give us that grief. But they're sitting comfortably with that as still their budget to work with, and things are progressing well with that. Starting in the south of the region at Porongahau, we have now got a preferred tenderer for the Porongahau project. I can't let you know who that is now because we're just yet to advise those tenderers formally around that, but that's good progress. We've got a little bit of an issue to sort out around the material for that project, but we believe that we have a course to work through that. Our resource consent is lodged. Our land access agreements are progressing well there, on the town side particularly. On the south side, as I think I previously reported, it's more challenging because of the amount of whenua Māori land, but that's just a case of the time it takes. And we have good rapport and relationship with those property owners, but there's just some initiatives that need to go through to formalise some of the entities that we're working with for those land parcels. So we would expect Porongahau construction to start towards the latter part of February, early March next year, is our timing for that. Moving up then to Pakawhai. Pakawhai is our second largest project at a $50 million budget. We are making good progress on the land access. We've completed all of our whole of property purchases. We're now working steadily through the partial property acquisitions that we need. Our largest and most challenging land access agreement is with the Joan Fernie Charitable Trust, for the reason that it's quite a significant footprint that we will be requiring for the building of the stop banks and the diversion of the Turaikuru Waimati in one part, and then the impact on their property from the increased ponding because of the structures that we're building. But we've just had a good session with them again this morning, some good robust discussions because of the nature of what we're trying to work through with our plan to next get together towards the end of January. But they are a critical property owner that we need to conclude arrangement with to allow us to start construction, with the planned start date on the Pakawhai Southern contract late February, early March as well. We have a preferred tenderer identified there, which we'll be notifying in the next day or two as well, having received 4 tenders. The Pakawhai North from the expressway to Links Road is in market, and those tenders close mid-January. And our resource consent has been lodged and will receive the consent in early February. Ohiti, Anybody who's been past the Ohiti site just out of Omahu would have seen significant stockpiling occurring on site now. The contractor there, Central Hawke's Bay Earth Movers, will be starting in earnest with Fulton Hogan, their subcontractor, on the Ohiti and Taihape Road raises, and they're cracking into that on the 5th of January. The resource consents are received. All of the land except for one part, which is not critical to us starting, has been secured, and it will be all guns blazing at the beginning of January on that project. Waiheke, that is progressing well and with an expected completion date of March next year. There have been some challenges on that project with some of the dry weather that we've been having around the material and the compaction of it that the contractor and ourselves have been working through. But we're making good progress, and for any of you who have seen those flyovers with the drones, it gives you a really good idea of the footprint, the scale of it, and just where we are with it. Whirinaki, for those of you who travel on that Wairoa Road, you would have seen the full diversion road now on the Panpac side by the Contact Energy Generation site having been completed. Fulton Hogan did an outstanding job on that, delivering that 2 weeks ahead of schedule. We have managed to secure the last critical piece of land for that project, that will allow us to continue with the road raise as intended early in the new year, and also for the stop bank contractor to be commencing soon after. The stop bank contractor is Tupori, and their major subcontractor is Bare Knuckle, who is one of our other contractors on the list of 10. So we're getting a really good sharing of work across all of our 10 contractors who were identified in 2024 of being capable to deliver the works we've got. We're still working on the final design in the Panpac log yard. It is probably the most challenging part of any project alignment that we'll be working in, just because of the high volume of heavy vehicles that work on that log yard. As you could imagine, it is the key part of their whole site at Whirinaki with that, and we're working closely with Panpac on it. Moving up to Wairoa, and as James has outlined, we've got a key meeting on Friday with National Infrastructure Funding and Finance around the Wairoa project. We had a meeting with them in Wairoa on the 1st of December, and there were some issues out of that, particularly as they related to the peer review that had been done that we need to come back to them on Friday. We are hoping, though, out of Friday that we will get the go-ahead for the project that will allow us to proceed full steam ahead on the land access, and also for the design to occur on the narrower spillway that James referenced as well. Our budgets have been recut and re-estimated based on quantity surveying input, and they are pushing the $70 million envelope. I won't pretend, but as James said, we have committed to you to carry into that construction a $10 million construction contingency, and we'll be slightly increasing the budget and backfilling that increase on that project with some of the reduced amounts that we believe will be necessary to deliver other NIWE projects. So that's good news, I hope, for you on that. The other one's pump station contract, and looking at Neil here because he's had a strong interest in this one, at our Toto mission, is that we are imminently about to sign the contract with Brian Perry Civil. It has been a long and laborious process to get here, with the number of tags that we've had to work through, the issue of resizing the project to fit the budget, but we have got there. There is now a 6 to 8 month design period for those pump stations, but they will start construction prior to design completing. So the latest program schedule for completion of both pump stations is June 2027. So we have had slippage on that project. It's probably the one project where we've had the most slippage, just because of the issues that we've had to work through around budget adequacy and the time it's taken to finally pin down that contract with Brian Perry. Levels of service, which are the upgrade of various parts of the stop banking network. We will be going to market on Monday for the Lower Brookfields stop bank upgrade, and with tenders closing I think it's towards the beginning of February because we have a closeout period over Christmas. The other levels of service contracts at Waipawa and Omahu will go to market in January, and therefore we hope to see contractors on the ground subject to receipt of resource consents because they will be under the standard RMA processes, not the OIC. We will probably see contractors on the ground late March, early April for all three contracts is what we're hoping for. So look, it has been a massive year. I was talking to Chris and Nick the other day about our land access. It is just in time, not because that's how we want to do it, but it's just the nature of the beast. Every land access negotiation is different. Every property owner is slightly different, and we have to respect that. But we are working our way through, and long may it last that we haven't yet had to hold contractors at the gate because we haven't secured the land. But by jingoes, it's been a fine line that we've been running. And until we have secured all land, I suspect that'll be a fine line still. But the final message I can give you, I think we've made good progress. We're going to have a busy year next year actually building stuff. And you will see that on multiple fronts.
Yes, well, we know what your team's been through, and we know that the lights stay on really late at night, and amazing what's been achieved in this year. So a huge thank you to all of your team. So I'm sure there's questions, but before they started digging deep on you, I thought we'll get the thank you out there first, Andrew. Really, it's been amazing. You came into this team when you did, and the timing just worked perfectly. So a big thank you to you. Questions? Councillor Waitoa.
Kia ora, through you, Chair, and thank you for the report. Maybe just a query on executive summary, the second paragraph, you have 36.6 million October. That's the spend. And then on page 44, financial position 38, October 25 is 42 million. Typo, or are they two different?
That would be a typo, through you, Chair. Sorry, that would be a typo. I believe I updated the back end of it and forgot to update the executive summary. So I do apologise. 42 million is the current. 42.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Rodley.
Thank you, Chair. By jingoes, yes, what a year. Well done. Fantastic year for you all, and you'll definitely be looking forward to some R&R. Before you do, quite a significant shift in the Wairoa piece of work, with it moving from the 100% Crown funded to having a portion, or potential portion, because it's only the contingency we're talking about, isn't it?
Yeah, so can I just clarify that? And we haven't formally gone through NIF for that transfer of the additional amount that we believe we need to carry into the Wairoa project, and that will come out of other projects. But our expectation and hope is that NIF will approve the transfer of that funding between projects. That will still keep HBRC's contribution to the program at the same level as was anticipated across the board. So it's not a plus number for council to have to swallow.
Correct. I was just going to check, probably with you, Mr. CE, with the preface that I understand it's a contingency, so we may not need it, but should we need to draw down that additional funding, the split's 24.85% will be HBRC portion of that contingency. The rating for that, it'll fall under the usual 70-30, although my recollection is that we actually had different amounts across different projects, and so will that return to us to discuss that split? And if so, no, full stop.
I'm just going to ask these guys to touch on the transfer of money first.
Yes, through you, Madam Chair. Councillor, as you pointed out, that split around the 24.85 and the 74 point. Yes, yep. That would remain for any additional top-up that we are planning on being able to bring over from unspent funds elsewhere in the project. The general guidance that we've received is that when we are moving funds between projects, we must maintain the agreed funding ratio for wherever wherever we have taken it from, even though we may be applying it to a different funding situation.
So to scratch that a little bit further, I recall the funding at Porongaho and I think Whirinaki was 100%.
No, Wairoa is the only 100%.
No, the rating portion,
Yeah.
the general rating.
The residential at Whirinaki is 100%.
100%, and so it's
The industrial had a different split.
Yeah, they had a
Here's
much-
Chris coming to the rescue to
a
make
much
sure we get it
bigger-
right.
I guess probably the very poorly worded question is, where do you suspect that funds would come from, which project, and so therefore that will give us an understanding of the split of what the rating implication will be.
The extra funding for Wairoa is most likely to come out of the level of service project, which is the stop bank upgrades. And that one would have been predominantly, well, I'm not quite sure. Chris, can you help us on that one? How that one was funded, can you recollect?
In the consultation document for the 3-year plan, we, and what ended up happening is most of the ones around the Heretaunga Plains moved into the Heretaunga Plains funding, which was 70-30. The Porongaho Whirinaki residential were at 100% general rate. Because there was no capital outlay for the Wairoa one, that wasn't part, the capital outlay side of it wasn't part of the consultation. In line with the other communities, Porongaho and Whirinaki thing, we would probably need to do another consultation or view around that, but it would likely be set at the same way as those other two communities around the 100% general rate. That would be the recommendation.
In my view, through you, Chair, would be the aim at the moment is that we would never have to get there. If we do have to get there, there'll be another conversation with council about exactly how we deal with that split. But the aim is never to be able to use that contingency. And there's a conversation, I think, with NIFCO around what it is that we actually move over and what it is that we might leave sitting behind against the project. So I think conversation to come, but good points to raise that we'll need to address.
One little, very quick.
Yes.
It says in the paper that you were going to lodge the consents. Did they get lodged this week?
Yes. Pick up. Wairoa has been lodged and we hope that Katrina's not here. Where she is. The consent section, who I must say have been excellent, the way they have processed our OIC consent applications, will formally accept that on the Monday, and we're out of time. There's a 3-week close down period for counting the 30 days. But we hope that will be formally accepted on Monday, and then the days start counting from the 12th of January, I think it is. Yep.
Well done. Also,
Thank you.
Appreciate your work.
Councillor McIntosh and then Councillor Curtin.
Looking at the overall numbers, about 50% of the funding has gone to two areas, Wairoa and Pakowhai. And ironically, they're the two areas we've probably caught the most flack. Do you reckon there's a growing, and it's sort of understandable for a start, but do you think there's a growing understanding within those communities of the amount that taxpayers in particular, but also ratepayers have invested in them?
Look, well, James, I'll get James to comment on Wairoa because he was at the last public meeting that we had there just a couple of weeks ago that can give you a feel for at least the people who came to that public meeting. I'll comment about Pakowhai. And I think I went to my first Pakowhai meeting, Sheriff, when you chaired that one at the Elwood Centre or whatever it was, about a year ago. And I was at one with Hastings District Council actually around the Brookfields Bridge, but they wanted us to have an overlay of the Pakowhai project. My feeling is that community has shifted substantially in terms of the support for the project, and the messages that we basically get now is just get on and build this stuff. We just want to see it built, particularly for those 2C property owners who want the classification to change on their properties. That's really important for them. But even generally, is that it is, I can't remember the last time that we had what I would call a more challenging conversation about what we were doing and why we were doing it. Yes, there's always some specifics around people's properties, but the general objective to me is now get on and do it.
And that's a very similar sentiment to what I had up in Wairoa a couple of weeks ago as well. We had probably about 80 people, I think, turn out at the Takitimi Marae, and I would say, 99% supportive, and of the 1%, that was more just some specific questions around some sort of flooding issues around a particular property. So having Lawrence there as the Crown Manager as well, extremely beneficial to also explain that the Crown, particularly for Wairoa, is investing the $70 million and just the implications for that and what that does mean for the project in terms of the sign-offs, etc., that we do have to go through that. But it is very much, when are we going? We had the preferred contractor up there, Stan from Goodman's, did a fantastic job relating back how the community will be involved, and also sort of hung around for 10, 15 minutes afterwards talking to people. So it's a very, very positive vibe up there at the moment, certainly is what I took away from it. And it's, can we get going ASAP? Because we don't want to miss the construction window that we have this year, notwithstanding if we get good weather over the winter, but we just want to press play and let's go.
So that's pleasing, Chair, and it's a big change.
Big change. Neil, before I come to you, I might just let Michelle make a comment just on that Wairoa meeting. Will you concur?
Yeah, so, I agree. I was at the Takitimu Hui, and I just want to say a couple of things. So the process was difficult because it was people's homes and the options that were being put forward. The original options took quite a number of houses and whenua, including whenua Māori, 6 hectares, and a lot of the general landholders were Māori as well. They bought back their own land. So you got to understand the process isn't that easy for our people to go through. Plus, there are cultural implications. Some parties weren't being involved, they weren't being consulted with. So after all this time, I think the hapu whānau were happy that they were listened to. I was one of the people who gave, Lawrence a hard time because, and I told him I make no apologies for that because it's about our people's whare, their whenua and our wai. But out of that, he came up with 1C plus. And it went from a possibility of 20 plus houses to 8. And I think half of those houses were destroyed. And then the whenua hectareage decreased. So when you look at it, it was worth the battle. And I'll do it again. The other thing is to note that we had no flood protection. It was recommended by Claude, it was Engineer Regional Council, I think it was in 1991 after Cyclone Bola, that flood protection should have been put in place. It never was. So the other factor you need to consider, and it's probably why we got government funding, is that we had no flood protection. So it's timely, it's about time, and we just get on with it. The other thing to note is what I also said is, it's about the whānau who are involved. It's mana whenua, it's their land, the owners, it's up to them. But we're all ready for the flood protection to be to move forward. And I think the general feeling in the hui was the support of it. We wanted to move forward, but a battle had to take place before. Now the dust has settled. Kia ora.
Kia ora. Kia ora, Councillor McElroy. So Councillor Curtin, and then we'll finish up with Councillor Parsons.
Great. Thank you, Madam Chair. And just to echo the Chair's sentiments early on, it's been a tremendous year and such progress in this part of the organisation. And thank you, Andrew, for coming on board there. It's been a revelation to see the development of this entity and the new structure and new whatever's there. We've got to preserve that because the region is a beneficiary of probably one of the few positive things coming out of the cyclone has been the development of our capacity to deliver major infrastructure projects. So well done there. Just a quick question on the report. I'm scratching around looking for the summary for all expenditure. I'm seeing 2 specific project reports, but no overall summary of the projects. Is that missing somewhere along the line? Or am I missing a page?
Are you, sorry, through to you, are you in reference to the attachment? Is there?
Yeah, I'm looking at the attachments and seeing a report, a single page report, in this case on Whirinaki, and then the other one was Waiheke.
Yeah.
So there were two single project reports, including expenditure. We've previously had one where we had a summary of all of the projects' expenditure year to date.
Yes.
Can you tell me where that one is?
I can get that too. Basically, the attachment that we just had in here was just to show the transition that we've moved into for projects in construction, but I can provide...
Yeah, no, I think if we could incorporate those into the usual reports, I think it's really helpful.
Yep.
And the second question is to do with this Waipawa wastewater project. I know that's passed to Central Hawke's Bay, but can you just describe reporting lines for that work? Is that something we can follow up later with, or?
Through you, Chair, that's direct from Central Hawke's Bay to NIFCO. Doesn't come via us.
So we're not involved with the funding mechanism direct to Central Hawke's Bay?
No.
Are they seeking any input from us in terms of project management around that?
No.
Why not? Why wouldn't they?
Can't answer that.
Can't answer that. They have their own capability to deliver it.
Going to my earlier comments, we've got capacity, we've got the skill set. Why are we not having a conversation that says, how do we help this project?
Thank you, point taken. Councillor Affix.
Oh, mine's just going back to Pakawhai. So they're currently in 2C?
Yes, they are.
A lot?
Yes, they are.
So when will they go to 1 based on?
You have three criteria to satisfy to move to 1. The first is that you have a secured funding source to deliver the project within the budget that's been determined, and subject to the NIF gateway approvals that are required at various stages of the project, we can be confident about that, in my view. The next one is that you have a consenting pathway, and we absolutely do, and that is lodged now, and it's a controlled activity, so you are guaranteed a consent. It is only the conditions of the consent that are the unknown until the consent's issued. The third one is you have secured all the land sufficient to deliver the project. And so at Pakawhai, that is the one thing that we still have to satisfy before we can recategorise.
Okay, understood.
Yep, and the same thing applies across all of those Cat 2 projects.
Yeah.
So we are very close to doing that with Whirinaki, and we'll be dealing to that in the new year.
And just going back to Whirinaki, I read somewhere, and I can't remember where, this might be more of a question for you, Nick, that one of the consequences of the stock bank going in at Whirinaki is that some of those that on the highway, Clare, Roberts, etc., they might be protected. Is that true?
No, the project
Are they? Is her property further up towards the main Pampac entrance? Is it North Shore Road?
Yeah, opposite North Shore Road.
Well, all those properties will be protected because the bank goes up parallel with the Whirinaki drain, and then it cuts across North Shore Road almost by the intersection with the State Highway.
Yeah.
Goes up parallel with the State Highway to where it will tie into the roadways that is opposite the Contact Energy site.
Yeah, so they will be protected.
Yep.
Maybe the best thing would be, if I could flick you a map.
Can we flick them? Also, if we're talking about individual people just to protect their privacy, could we look at that map outside public meeting?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the next question would be then they should be moved from category 3 to category 1.
Sure. Just if we're talking about individuals, we can talk
Or the
about
area,
that.
if you like. I don't need to talk about individuals. Yeah.
Or that area. Okay, so we can look at the map for that?
Cool.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So this is simply to receive the IMPO delivery update. Do I have a mover for that? Thank you, Councillor McElroy. Thank you, Councillor Ormsby. Would anyone else like to make any comments, not questions? Further comments? No? I was about to say maybe another thank you, yeah? Anyone else want to give appreciation?
Can I just say, Madam Chair, there's been a number of generous comments directed to me, but this is all about the team.
Yes.
We've all put the effort in, and it's the results as a team, not just an individual.
We want to pass to you that we appreciate all of you greatly and we're wishing you all a restful and peaceful Christmas. Yeah. So we have resolutions, we have a mover and a seconder. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Any against? That's carried. Thank you very much. We are going to sneak in the hazard portal upgrade and then we'll grab a cup of tea.
Good chairing, Madam Chair.
What, saying quickly?
Yeah, yeah.
You like the quickly word?
So hurry up. Yeah.
Thank you, Councillor Van Bay.
Through you, Chair, Hawke's Bay led the country in many ways in establishing a hazard portal a number of years ago now. I think as we've seen both the desire for hazard information to become public and actually direction to regional councils to make hazard information public, the use of the portal has increased and we have now got new government regulation that means we have to provide information both publicly and to the territorial authorities. Our hazard portal needs some work and upgrade, and the team can take you through that. And it's really providing you with some of the background information we have through the annual plan process that we were workshopping with you this morning, made provision for the hazard portal process. And I will hand over to one of Louise, Pip or Katrina to take you through.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Nick. Kia ora koutou councillors. This hazard portal business case is or was one of the priority projects from the Hawke's Bay Independent Flood Review that we set this time last year. Work began on considering this business case in July. I think we can take the business case as read, but the paper outlines the proposal. It's really an information piece. There's a decision to be made through the annual plan process, but we will take questions.
We'll take questions. Are there questions? So yeah, as said, that we don't need to make a decision on this now. This is the information prior to making a decision for annual plan. Oh, wow. Brilliant paper. You're clapping yourself.
Answered all the questions.
Wonderful.
We need more of these.
Would someone like to move?
I'm happy to move.
You're happy to move. Thank you.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Councillor
Before anyone
Van.
asks questions.
Would anyone like to make any further comments? I will make a comment. I would like to say I'm very much looking forward to seeing the upgrade happen and the hazard portal working quickly and efficiently and able to hold all the information that we know is going to be critical going into the future with greater hazards and government direction on the relation of hazards to building capacities and more. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Any against? That's carried. Thank you very much.
Well done, ladies.
Well done.
Was it worth the walk?
Hardest item.
Yeah, because for future we will take a little bit.
We don't have many though, they've obviously done it perfectly.
Longer, I suspect. So we're just going to stop just for 10 minutes, just for a break and grab a cup of tea and bring it back. So we'll be back at 25 past, please. back. We are going to come to Desi and Jolene. Fit for the Future Program update. Very fulsome update and good ways forward of how we're going to see the reporting and what we're stepping into. Kia ora, welcome.
Thanks, Chair. And just by way of introduction, along with lots of the things we're doing at the moment, as well as moving ahead with the projects, and Jolene and Desi will take you through those, we're keeping a weather eye out on what might come our way over the next year or so in terms of local government reform. So I think, as Councillor Roadley put it at the moment, really seeking to implement the no regrets pieces and
the agile piece.
And really wanting to be open to having a conversation with you as we go through the next few months, that we might have to pivot and be pretty agile as we go through this and we learn more about what the future's going to hold for all of us. So the focus at the moment has been really on moving ahead with the priority projects, and one of those was the induction process that you've just been through. You heard a lot about the next-gen land management piece, which has been in prep today, which was one of our significant projects. And we also started the strategic planning process as part of your induction. So lots underway. The reporting's got a little bit to do to catch up with that, but wanted to give you an update before Christmas and a little bit of that context. So I'll hand over to Jolene, who you may have met in another guise working for Richard. And we have internally seconded Jolene to help us run this project internally. Kia ora.
Thank you. Kia ora koutou. So I am Jolene Townsend, and today I'm going to provide you a small update because most of what we were at and progressing is in the paper, so you've read that. But yeah, as Nick was saying, really keen to get in front of you, get a feel from you as to what you want to see going forward with these updates and reporting. Yeah, so it's probably not going to be a long presentation. Mm-hmm. What I am going to cover is local reforms, potential impacts to our program of work, an update on our critical projects which we've prioritised, explain how we are getting on with setting targets and how we will report on that, and then keen to hear from you, and we'll actually probably get feedback through the chair due to timing, on what do you need to say, what works well for you with regards to reporting. So often I get asked about what is the impact of these reforms to the Fit for the Future program. Right now, not much. So until we know more, then we will consider how we will adapt, and we'll be providing you with regular updates and any impacts as we go. So we'll be ready to pivot when we need to. But essentially, what we're doing and what we're delivering in this project will put us in the right place for any upcoming changes. It's pretty awesome. So I've provided an update on the projects, but just wanted to focus on our 3 priority projects. So our first priority is the new strategic plan. So the project team are working on that at the moment. Here I've just highlighted some deliverables and provided an update. So I've had the council orientation session that you went to. From that, the team were telling me it was an awesome session. There's general consensus around priorities, which has been great for the team to move forward and get on with what they need to do in preparation for the next workshop in January. So it's progressing well. Our next prioritised program is adjusting level of service. So this program is going to be a chunky, or project, sorry, it's going to be quite chunky, and this is where we're going to see some key opportunities for cost savings, for efficiencies, reduced duplication. So right now the team are pulling together a deep project brief to ensure that we cover everything we need to so we can hit the ground running early next year when we get back from break. So just what's happening at the moment, a desktop exercise has been completed which has assessed our legal requirements. Next stage is to then send that through to the managers, which has gone out already, the email, to check their activities against those legal requirements and also identify any non-statutory commitments that we may have. That could be an MOU where we've got a commitment, the biodiversity Hawke's Bay strategy and action plan. That's not a legal requirement, but we have a commitment. So it's a stock take, so we can then take it to the next step of reviewing each of those activities, testing assumptions. What are we delivering now? Is it gold-plated? Is it bare minimum? What's the tolerance? But mapping that all out so good decisions can be made going forward. The next priority project is implement a next-gen model for land management. So update was that you've had that workshop this morning, which is really good. So now it's about presenting, taking the information and also start preparing a project plan so we can actually map out the milestones, keep rigour on our scheduling, making sure that we are meeting deadlines and supporting that project to deliver. So those are the key priority projects. So I will keep heavily focused on those while still keeping in contact with all the other project leads on their projects and providing relevant updates as we go. Part of my role was to provide, it said in the Fit for Future Action Plan, dashboards, one for project scheduling, how are we on track for that with our projects, and the other dashboard was benefits realisation. So we're doing this for a reason. What are the benefits we expect to be delivered through these big organisational shifts, our objectives? How are we going to know when we get there? What does success look like? How does each project track towards that? And what portion of that project delivers on that overarching benefit? It's really hard to do that now without the project detail. So we've got the project briefs, they're being approved at the moment, and there's 13 of them with the steering committee group. And that, the project brief sets the direction, the milestones, what we aim to achieve. The steering group checks it, yes, this is what we expect, yes, this is going in the right direction, go. So now the next stage is pulling together that project documentation, which is where the detail is, and from that we can map out milestones, benefits, what are they, when do we expect them to be delivered, what does that look like, and then I can pull that reporting dashboard together. So I just have to get to that process, get through that process first. So when I talk about reporting, what's key for me is that you get what you need. So really keen to hear from you what you think you need delivered from me in the reporting. I can provide sorry, I just jumped without moving that slide. A image snapshot of those dashboards so we can see how we're tracking project scheduling and benefits, where are we? Noting that some benefits won't be realised until after the project's closed, once we've gone through a process, depending on what that benefit is we're aiming for. I will provide highlights and updates on those key priority projects, where we're tracking, what you need to know, risks, issues, opportunities, any changes, and then highlights from the other projects, milestones, issues, opportunities as well. I am developing a project changes register. This plan was signed off in August, and things have already started to evolve. Yeah. So I need to track and record those changes, get the steering group to confirm them, and then report those back to you and get your feedback and input. What else is my question is, what do you need to ensure that you can make recommendations, feedback, give us good feedback, or make decisions? What does that look like for you? I think we'll put that feedback to go through the chair at the end.
Up to you, Chair, as to whether you want to do that now or have time to digest the paper, lots of progress being made, and come back with how you'd like reporting to happen, kind of conscious of the time of day.
I don't think we need to workshop now the reporting framework. I think a dashboard's something we repeatedly talk about that we like, but certainly if there's any questions now on specific pieces. Have you finished your slides?
That was just the last one showing that. You mentioned that was quite a good one.
Yes, I talking about the different reporting, I said that the NIWE dashboard is always quite a good one because there's different, you can see it as a whole and then you can see individual projects. So, but like I say, I don't think we need to determine that now, but there might be specific questions on pieces within the paper for now to take away.
Just the frequency too, when is it?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Come back in January as the work starts rolling out, and of course the next gen land. That's really hard to say. You had trouble too, yeah. The piece we saw this morning is the one that's having the most impact in terms of efficiency or effect on the annual plan. There are no specific questions? Yep. Councillor Rodney.
Through you, Chair.
Kia ora.
Jolene, are you expecting? Is this the place where we will see a lot of the realignment from however the Crown movement happens with regional councils? Is this the place where we'll actually see a lot of it come through? That'll be something that you'll kind of be keeping abreast of and be able to reflect back to us?
Yeah.
I think there'll be a couple of places to that. I think as we head into next year, really keen to think about two things. How do we keep workshopping the Crown's position and understanding what that means for the organisation? Some formal reporting to council, which will probably be bigger than Fit for Future. We may get to a point next year where, with your agreement, we would need to pivot Fit for Future to be setting us up for some completely different entity. And at that point, I think we need to discuss, what we're doing here. As I say, at the moment, what I'm looking to do is the no regrets pieces.
Yeah.
We should have a strategic plan because we need to pass that on to another entity. The levels of service piece is critical to your long-term plan, and it's going to be the most thorough piece of work that you and with support of officers will do to reimagine the organisation. So those feel like key moving parts at the moment that we should carry on with. But absolutely, if government reforms mean those things become pointless, we need to have the discussion and change.
Mm-hmm. So you won't specifically be monitoring how that slots in with this, but it'll just be something that you've got to add in your program.
Yeah, and as we prepare to be fit for the future, how that impacts that pathway.
Given the future's changed.
Every Tuesday.
Okay. Well, we're going to receive and note the Fit for Future program update. Do I have a mover for that? Good move. Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Van Beek. Any other comments? Thank you. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Any against? Carried. Thank you very much. Thank you, Jolene. Nice to see you. Schedule of meetings. Item 5.4. Just to note, Environment Committee wasn't within that list, but it is on the calendar. So I don't think there's any issues there. Were there any comments on frequencies or timings or days? Any comments on school holidays? Thank you, Councillor Curtin.
Just Regional Transport Committee on Friday, is that locked in stone, or can we change that? Why Friday?
It's set because of the NZTA is required to attend all the meetings of the regional transport committees across the country, and so we work in with them the days of the week that work for that.
So NZTA determining.
Well, that's one of the reasons, but it's always been on a Friday. So if you would like us to try and change that to a different day,
Wednesday
would you like a Wednesday? Yep, I can try and look at that, yes.
The TAs struggled. I've asked the same question when I was deputy.
Oh.
I asked the same question, and the TAs and NZTA, it never really worked. So Wednesday seemed to be the only one was the day. Friday. I struggled with it as well, likewise. But I'm not supporting you. You should go on Friday. I had to go through.
You'll keep.
Thank you for your support.
There's only four in the year, Neil, I think.
Fridays.
4 Fridays.
Fridays.
I will seek
Don't like Fridays.
feedback.
I think it's very unlikely, given the TA's schedule, that you will get
Get a
into.
Wednesday.
Yeah, I think it's unlikely. Anyway, good luck with that. Any other comments? No? Is everyone happy with that? Otherwise, just with the note that we'll look at moving the Regional Transport Committee? Great. Thanks, Councillor Roadley. You happy to move it? Thank you.
Very happy to move
Councillor
that.
Waitoa, you happy to second
Thank
this
you.
important paper? Thank you very much. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Carried. Thank you. We're going to move into public excluded. I'm happy to move from the chair for that. Do I have a seconder?
Just second it.
Yeah, Councillor McElroy actually put her hand up for that.
Good.
I'm sorry. Any comments? Everyone understands the reasons for moving into public excluded? All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Yes, thank you.